everybody. It's just about 3 o'clock. Oh, and 3 o'clock now. Awesome. So I can see, it looks like pretty much everybody that's in should be able to hear me. Welcome, everybody. Tuesday afternoon. I believe when I originally sent the email, I said Tuesday afternoon, but then I said Monday the 31st. I mean Monday the 30th. So I hope I didn't cause any confusion. But I'm glad to see everybody here. I hope that if you were here for the PDs yesterday, I hope you enjoyed them. And I hope we can all have a good time today. We're going to be talking about how to implement the Intro to Cybersecurity course today. And so pretty much we're going to focus on a couple of labs for the Intro to Cybersecurity course. And we're going to talk about how to access the curriculum. Today with me, I have Jeff Holcomb. Just to kind of reintroduce myself to anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Adam Topher. I've been here at cyber.org for about 1.5 years now. I taught in the classroom for a total of 6 years. I was in Japan for 2 years, and I taught here in America for 4. Before getting in the classroom, I had actually worked in industry. So I was a network admin and a system administrator. And so getting into the classroom was kind of interesting. I had gone away to get away from that and got into teaching. And then that background, plus the teaching background, is what has brought me here to cyber.org. So it's kind of brought everything back together. So it's been pretty interesting because I was brought on last year to help build the networking curriculum. But this intro course is one that I really love. I love anything radio frequencies. And so I've always loved remote control cars growing up. In the picture, one of those is one that I built with my dad, the very first one we ever built. And the other one is one that my son and I built recently. And so, yeah, with that, I'll pass it over to Jeff. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Jeff Holcomb. I've been working with cyber pretty much since I started teaching. Been working with them in the basic same capacity you guys are right now. I was as a teacher, I was implementing their curriculum. I was working with them on projects, doing camps and things like that with them. Then I moved on to the district level where I worked as a science coordinator and a STEM specialist. Again, able to work with cyber in that capacity as well. We were able to take their programs and implement them throughout the district. Then I moved on up to the Louisiana Department of Education, in which case I was able, again, use their curriculum and their projects to develop a STEM pathway for our people. And then after that, I was a CTE supervisor. Again, worked with cyber in that capacity as well to develop pathways for our students move into industry. And then retired from that and been here about 2 months.
And Jeff has brought a wealth of knowledge, especially for me, because while I worked in CTE, he knew kind of the other end of it. Like being a director, he had a lot of for me, information from the other side of the CTE department. And so I've learned a lot from him, especially we were traveling just about 2 weeks ago in Mississippi. And so that was really interesting to see. If you guys don't mind, if you could kind of put in the chat what you teach. Do you teach middle school? Do you teach high school? This particular course is aligned for grades 6 through 8 and 8 through 12, not 6 through 8. It can be taught, I believe, as low as 7th grade, possibly 6th grade. But I know we probably have middle school teachers and high school teachers here. But I would love to know kind of the spread of what if we have mostly high school or if we have some middle school, because a lot of the teachers we talked to in Mississippi a couple of weeks ago were middle school, and we were interested in how they could bring this into their classroom. Now, I kind of wanted to just welcome everybody and kind of confirm that we all have accounts in the range and on Canvas. If you have not, you can sign up for an account on apps.cyber.org. I'm gonna put it in chat for a range account. And then you can sign up for your Canvas account at just cyber.org. On the website, they have a thing at the top where you can log in or sign up. But luckily today, you will not need either one of those to be able to do what we're doing today. We have a classroom set up for you where you can participate in the labs today. as a student. So you get, I like doing these because you get to see what it's like to be a student, and whereas normally you don't really get that experience. And then also I'm going to get to show you some of the Canvas material. I have all of the labs and activities in my PowerPoint today. So anything you would need, you get to see in the PowerPoint, and you'll be able to reference that. So at the end of this, I'm going to email everyone a copy of the PowerPoint that I'm using today. So if you wanted to go back and do it again, or if we didn't get a chance to finish, because I know for a fact we're not going to be able to finish all the labs I have today. One of them is very long, and it's just meant as more of a game, that last game. You guys are more than welcome to go back and do those, because everything will be here in the PowerPoint. So just to kind of get into it, what is a range? Because that's what we'll be using today. The range is cloud hosted, so that doesn't require any hardware on your end. It's browser based. So once again, it doesn't require hardware. It's going to be inside of a browser. So if you have any kind of computer that has a browser, you're good. Chromebooks included. In fact, we recommend usually Chromebooks to teachers as a way to get it into their classroom cheaply. It's scalable. So that means you can have a single class, and the next year you can have 2 classes, or you can have 4 classes, or you can have 10 students in a class, or you can have 40 students in a class. It scales to your needs and works really well that way. It's engaging and interactive. So rather than just teaching students the theory behind being safe online, this allows them to get hands-on and really understand what it is to be safe and protect themselves from some of the cyber threats that are out there. It's non-persistent, so nothing is saved online. There's no PII that's saved from the students. Or for instance, if they broke one of the VMs, say they accidentally deleted some file that makes the VM work, it wouldn't be a big deal, because you can just close it, then open it again, and you have a brand new computer. It's not a big deal to break anything. So that's one of the beauties of it. And then the last note is probably one of the most important. It doesn't cost anything. It's free to anybody. So anyone who's a K-12 educator, this is all totally free to use. So now, if you would, let's all open a browser and go to apps.cyber.org. If you don't have access to this, that's totally fine, like I said, because we're all going to use a browser to access this. So I'm going to pop the link inside of the chat where you can access this. And there's a Google Sheet. I don't know if you guys can see on my screen or not. I think you can only see my presentation, but there's a Google Sheet that we're going to open. And I'm going to go ahead and change my share so that you can see that. And then I want you to be able to see. Can everybody see that? Okay. So in this Google Sheet, there is 100 teacher spaces. They're in the first column, where you're going to put your teacher name. And that's how we'll know which one you're using. So if we need to help you, we can. And then there's a nickname, a username, and a password. What's important here is the username. The username is what you're going to use to log in at apps.cyber.org. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open a new in private window, which you probably, once again, not going to be able to see. So I'm going to change my share. Let's see. Can you see that? Can you guys see this one? Okay. Now I'm going to just scroll down, hopefully pick one nobody's using. I see. I'm going to copy. And I'm just going to show you how to log in right quick. So on the website, you have 3 options. One is apply. This is how you apply if you have not applied yet. One is learn more, so you can get more information about the range. And the last one's log in. So here you would just put that username that you used. If somebody used this one, it's perfectly fine. I'm not going to actually use it. I'm just going to log in. And everyone has the same password. It's just password, all lowercase. When you press enter, it lets you log in. You should see the classroom. It's my last name, and the teacher is Doe. We all use a Jane Doe account for teaching. And then you'll see you have 4 options here. One is Kali Linux, which is already turned on for everybody to use. And then there are 3 other options: Ubuntu, Windows 7, and a Server 22. So we're not going to have to boot any of the other ones. A student, once they have access, they can launch their own machines. And that's fine if you guys want to launch one, not a big deal. But today what we're going to be using is the Kali Linux machine. So that's the one we're going to be connecting to. So you'll just press the connect button and it'll take you into the machine like this. So this is where we all want to be. We want to be inside of the range. I'm going to minimize this just in case I have to come back to it. This is what the room looks like as a teacher. So as a teacher, I can see where everyone's machines are and what they're doing. And I'm going to use this in a moment to come and get back in to see where you guys are at. As a teacher, this is normally what I would see where I have my classes booting. I mean, my machines booting. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something called the Social Engineering Toolkit. And one of the things we like to say around the office is that this lab is as easy as 1, 2, 3. So what you're seeing on my screen now is the lab itself. So I just took the PowerPoint from the lab and I put it directly into my PowerPoint that I'm showing everybody. So can everybody see that? I just kind of want to be sure everybody can see that. Yeah, so somebody said don't use the nickname column. Correct. That is, the nicknames are the numbers of the teachers. And so just in case we see your name, we can see the nickname to go to where to help you. So if somebody in chat says, I need help, I can go to teacher number, whatever name is associated with them on the Google Sheet. So the only one you should be typing in is that first column where it says teacher name. So I've directly copied the PowerPoint into my PowerPoint. So like I was saying later, if you wanted to go back and do this at home on your own time, you totally could once I email it to you. So most of the labs in Intro to Cybersecurity start with a getting started. They tell you that in this lab, we're going to do something, and there's going to be a screenshot of a part of the lab. So in this lab, we're going to use what's called the Social Engineering Toolkit to create a fake website. And we're going to use that fake website to capture login credentials. And this is just one of many examples that can be used to make phishing emails. And something I always like to ask, how many of us have gotten a phishing email in the last week? I would think probably almost everyone in here could raise their hand, right? Probably everyone has gotten a phishing email today because there's a lot of them, right? Christine, are you raising your hand for getting a phishing email or because you have a question? Probably for phishing email. So we've already completed this first step, which is to log into the range, hopefully. John, did you have a question? No, just, okay. Hopefully everybody was able to get into their range environment. If not, please let us know. And then we'll help you get into it. Oops. Now, once you're in, our goal is to launch the toolkit, and that's going to be pretty simple. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to get into it. So I'm going to get into my machine. Hopefully everybody can see this. And then the first thing we want to do in the machine is you want to open terminal. Terminal is this black box in the top left of the screen. When you click it, it takes a moment to open. One of the ways that we save money is by reducing the power of the machines. And so it does take a little while to load things, usually the first time. And so the terminal, once you have the terminal open, then we're halfway there. Now the command, what it said there was sudo se tool kit. And then I'll go ahead and put that in chat just in case everybody needs it. And then once you have that in there, you're going to hit enter. So just to kind of explain this command to you, sudo stands for super user do. So we're telling it we want to give this command super user rights. And then SE toolkit is just the name of the program that we're going to run. When you hit enter, it's going to give you the terms of service. They've created some kind of funny terms of service, but we're going to have to tell them we agree to the terms of service. That we're not going to use this for anything nefarious or evil. We're going to press Y, then we're going to press enter. And then what it does is it brings up the menu, which is how we're going to create everything. And so if you remember earlier, I said we like to say this is as easy as 1, 2, 3. That's because the menu itself is just a numerical menu. And actually the order we go is 1, 2, 3. And so that's how it's going to work. We want to make a social engineering attack. So we're going to press 1 and enter. And then in the second menu, we're making a website. So that's just number 2. We press 2 and enter. And then what method are we going to use on our website? Well, we want to harvest credentials. And so that's number 3. So our first options was, first is option 1, option 2, option 3. So I'm just going to put that in chat right quick. Now, what it's asking you here is it's saying, how do you want to create your website? And we want to select option 1 again. So they have web templates already built into this program. We're going to use some of them that already exist. So we're going to use the web templates. Oh, sorry. So I typed 1 in chat, but I should have typed 1 in here. And then here it's asking you, where is the information that we're taking going to? And what it shows here is your current IP address. That's fine. We don't want to change that. So we're just going to press enter. So what we've done is we've typed 1, 2, 3, 1. We pressed enter. And then now, what is the predetermined template that we want to use? We want to use Google. So that's going to be option number 2. So then I'm going to put in chat, we typed enter. And now we're going to press 2. So I'm going to press 2 and enter. And what it's doing here is it's taking a moment, but it's creating you a Google website. And it's telling you here that anyone that connects to this website is going to show up on your screen here. So what you can do is you can open up Firefox. Now, when I said earlier, I said terminal takes a moment to open, but Firefox is the one that really takes a moment to open. So now if you have coffee, it's your chance to take a sip. I don't know what time it is where you guys are at, but being just after 3 and having been going at this for a good long day now, it's coffee's coming in pretty handy right about now. So I promise I did click on Firefox. Yeah, okay. Like I said, it can take a little while. And this is something that we normally recommend to teachers to let their students know, because if they click it 2 or 3 times, then they will get 2 or 3 instances of Firefox that pop up. And so then they'll have to close those Firefox, those extra ones, just because they'll be in the way. Okay, so I'm going to wait just a few more moments while everybody else is getting their Firefoxes open. But what we want to do is we want to go to the website 127.0.0.1. I'll put that in chat. Does anybody know what that IP address is? I'm sure we have some people here who are cyber wizards. Nobody? Give you a second to type it in Google. Right? No place like home, right? So what 127.0.0.1 is your local host ID. So it's just taking you back to yourself. It's a loop back, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in my browser. So hopefully everybody has had a chance to get their browser open. 127.0.0.1. Now, when I hit enter, it's going to take me to that fake website that we created. Also notice in the background, in my terminal, you can see some stuff happening here. It's showing me that somebody connected. Now it's showing me that a local host connected, but it is showing me that there's a connection. Now here, obviously, I don't want you to type in anything that is a security hole. So don't type in your real email or your real password or anything like that. I've already given you my real email, so I'm more than okay to type in my work email. Don't worry about this secure logins, but on the password, just type in anything. It is telling you that this is not a secure connection because it is a loopback, because it's going back to yourself. And so it is aware that this is not secure. And then I'm going to type in just, my favorite color. I'm going to type in green and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And so when I hit enter, I see here that it found my email address and it found my password. But what's the key thing here we take away is that notice it brought us back to a Google website and it brought us back to a sign-in. Now, anyone who's been around Google for a long time would have recognized that previous web page as a very old Google web login, right? They don't use one like that anymore. But one thing that if you're ever getting phished, a key giveaway is whenever you log in and it does nothing or it takes you back to the login page, you should then realize that you have been phished and you need to go into crisis mode to fixing all of your passwords, changing them. And so that's one of the things we like to teach students is that if you ever log in and then nothing happens, you go back and you have to log in again, you should look into what happened and where did you lose your password. So now, one thing I want to do to kind of prove that we're all connected in this classroom, if you would type in my IP address, so I'm going to put it in the chat, 10.15.26.3 in your Firefox web browser. I see some people already connecting. So I'm going to pull up my terminal here. So see all these connections. This is one thing I like to demonstrate as a teacher, that the students can see that we are connected. But also notice here that I'm already seeing some passwords and usernames popping up. Hello, Adam, password, Adam secret. And does anybody here have one of those class clowns in their class? I imagine there's probably quite a few of us, right? I know I always did. I was one of those when I was growing up. And so we probably have one of those students who might be keen to typing something in there they might shouldn't. This is one of those times, because this comes up pretty early in the course, where you can show students that, hey, we can track everything you do. So if we look here, I can see 15.21.209. So if I go to other machines as the teacher, I can see every IP address that's associated with my classroom. So if I type in 10, 15, 21, 209, but oh no, I'm sorry, not this way. I need to control F. So let me go back, other machines. In search, I can search by name. But if I control F, 10, 15, 21, 209, it'll show me teacher 100 is 10, 15, 21, 209. Now, I can go back to our spreadsheet and find teacher 100. But if you had set up, say, student 1, or however you wanted to name your students, you can name them in a way, however you like. If you want to put their first name, or you want to just put station 1, station 2, station 5, for the computers in your room, or Chromebook 1, Chromebook 10, Chromebook 15, you can do that. And that kind of helps you point back to who is using what and doing what in the VMs. Does that kind of make sense to everybody? After that, let me pivot back into our PowerPoint. We are right about here. Okay. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see that. So now, this just, at the end of this particular lab, it says attackers use a social engineering toolkit to set up a fake version of a popular website. They take a URL link of a fake page and they rip them with those, or they put them in an email, or they make them in a social media post. One social media post that's been really popular going around, I've seen on Facebook, is, oh, we're going to miss so-and-so. And there's a link to what I can only assume is maybe a fake obituary or something. And I've seen so many people getting got by that particular phishing scam on Facebook. So it's really kind of sad that that's happening. But there's just so many easy, obviously you wouldn't just type in an IP address, right, to get phished. But there are very easy ways to get people that way because they hide that IP address or whatever their link is inside of another web page. So then the victim clicks that link, not realizing it's not real, and then they enter their username and password. So then thinking they've typed their information incorrectly, they might just try and do it again, and then not realizing that when it went through, but now they're at their real login. So you can Control C and shut that down, but we don't have to right now. We're not going to worry about it. So at the end of every lab is usually a closure. So we like to bring it full circle and say, what kind of situations have you seen where this technique could be used? And like I was just saying, that one that's going around Facebook and has been going around for a few months. The same thing in emails, right? How could you protect yourself from this kind of thing? And so we always want that to come back to the students so the students can understand how to protect themselves. So while we may be showing an attack and how a student can use that attack, it's not meant to educate students on how to become hackers. It's meant to educate students on how to protect themselves from attacks. Now, can a student take this information and go out in the real world and steal their parents' password to their bank account? Not really, because we've given them the best case scenario for them to use this in the range. If they just try to go out and create this and then get their mom to type that IP address, it won't work. So if any of you try to take my IP address and type it into your web browser on your phone or on your actual computer, it won't work because it only works inside the range. If the students want to go out and download Kali Linux and install it on a computer outside the range and then try to download the social engineering toolkit, they can do all that, but they would have to learn a lot to make it work outside because we've given them the training wheels necessary to make it a most perfect environment here in the range. So we don't give them all the extra parts needed to make that work. So kind of pivoting from there so we did the really fun, exciting part to get you hooked. So now we're going to pivot into where you can find this stuff. And you can go on to our website. So I'm just going to back out of that for a second. So on our website, well, let me go to cyber.org first. So on our website, there is our range and our curricula. And then on the curricula, you can find all the different material. You just sign up. So you hit sign up. And then once you've signed up, you'll be able to log in and it'll take you here. Of course, if you go to cyber.instructure.com, if you have not signed in, you'll be able to sign up for an account. So let me go to my actual one. Once you're in, let me just go back to the dashboard. Your dashboard will look a little different than mine. If you could just ignore this bottom two rows, sorry. I've been added to some old courses, but currently, when you log in, you'll see these top 4 tiles. Elementary, we've broken them down when you first log into grade bands. So elementary, middle, high school, and then old past content. So this really old stuff here, like A+, advanced math, that's all going to fall under our past content. And if you want to get access to it, you have to request access to that because we don't update these anymore. I'm just going to go to high school. Intro to Cybersecurity will fall under middle school and high school, so you can actually find it in both of those. If you click on the Intro to Cybersecurity button here, it'll actually take you to this course. So if I go back to my PowerPoint, because I have a little fancy PowerPoint here with some arrows on it, kind of proud of. So here is what you'll see when you first pull up the course. There are 2 ways, 2 things you can see. Of course, we're going to be in the home mode. And some of the most important things to see here are the syllabus. So if you need something to hand to your students in the beginning of the semester, it kind of gives you an overview and a lot of information about the course. The syllabus is going to be great. For this particular course, there are quite a few different websites that you need to access and see information on. So we have an allow list that you can give to your IT department at your school, and you can request that they add these courses to their allow list. Now, we understand that a lot of IT departments might be hesitant to do that. And so it is possible to access any of the websites that are necessary for this course through the range. It will be slightly slower just because of the design of the range. Is not super fast. So that's usually why we recommend doing it through your computer, because obviously your computer will be faster. But you can do any of it through the range, including one of the things I'll be demoing a little bit later today. But that is there in case you wanted to ask your department for it. Something we've been getting a lot of questions about recently is how can is it possible to teach this course in one semester? It is. Now you won't get all of the material, but you can teach a abbreviated version of this course in just one semester. And we now have a dedicated link to a one semester plan for how to do that. We have assessments per unit, and those can be found underneath in the green area, underneath each one of the unit headers. You can find the assessment. Each section has a lesson plan, and that is broken down. Yeah, I would say so pretty much each section has one. And then every lesson has a lesson guide. It has a PowerPoint that you're going to put up. So we used to call them teacher guides. So we don't call them teacher guides anymore. We call them lesson guides across all of our courses. We had some that were called lessons, some that were called teacher guides. Now we've just standardized that for every one of our courses. Now has what's called a lesson guide, just to kind of make it easy to understand. So the lesson guide gives you, the teacher, all the information you need to teach the lesson, whether that's actually, I can pull one up for you, whether it's vocabulary words or timing, things like that. Then you have the PowerPoint. PowerPoint's what you're going to display to the students to teach the lesson while you go through the lesson guide, and it tells you how to follow through the PowerPoint. Every course has either an activity, every lesson has an activity or a lab associated with it. The one we just did was a lab. This particular one has an activity, and I love the absolute first activity for this course because the students get to create their own ethics agreement. Now, there's an interest survey, so you get to find out what the students are interested in, but the ethics agreement is super awesome because the students get a lot of buy-in since they're helping to create this ethics agreement. So whereas the cybersecurity course has a, what do we call it? AUP, right? I can't remember the abbreviation for AUP at the moment. Authorized use something. It's not coming to me, but here the students are actually going to be creating their own rather than just pulling up a form they have to read all these fancy words on and then sign to say, hey, this is how you're going to actually use it. Acceptable use policy. There you go. Thank you so much, Raymond. Sorry. So instead of pulling up a fancy acceptable use policy, they're going to instead create that themselves. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that they do in this course. In fact, I sometimes recommend teachers teaching other courses to actually use this lesson in the other courses. I just realized that Raymond said that to me as a direct message. I thought he sent it in the whole chat, but yes, so Raymond helped me out there. He sent me acceptable use policy. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to pull up on the website one of the lesson guides. So here, all you do is you click it and download. It is possible to batch download everything in the course. We usually don't recommend that because sometimes we get feedback about maybe an error or a problem with a lesson that even might be like further down, like Unit 8 or Unit 9. And then if you batch download everything in the beginning of the year, then by the time you get to that, you'd miss it. So it's better to just download them as you need them, maybe a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance. So that way, if later in the year we made updates, you would get those as you go. But by all means, if you do catch an error, please let us know. So that way we love getting that feedback. So this is just a lesson guide for the very first one. It tells you what grade levels it's acceptable for. It gives you those students will. I know a lot of us, we always have those, the students will do, our I will or we will, on the board. So this gives you some of those. It gives you a guiding question. It tells you, walks you through slide by slide what you're going to do in the actual presentation slide. So if I close this and go back and I click on the PowerPoint, hopefully everybody's still seeing this. It looks like it's still presenting. We're still good, Jeff? Thumbs up? Yeah, okay. So there's a video here, and then it's a funny song, and then it just kind of goes through some things. There's a printout. We're gonna answer, why do we need to be interested in cybersecurity? What is cybersecurity? And it kind of goes through about some job availability, and then things like that. And then we talk about our ethics code that we're going to create. So that's just kind of a rundown of that. So now we're actually doing pretty good on time. I'm kind of impressed. We might actually get through everything. Let me go back into it. Okay. So next thing I want to do, since previously we did a lab, now I want to look at an activity. So what we're going to talk about now is the command line interface. Okay, I see a couple of questions coming through, so let me look at that. Are all lessons done in the range terminal? I'm a little confused about when to use that. That's an excellent question because we're going to talk about terminal in this particular lesson. That's what we're going to, like today's lesson that I'm highlighting is about the terminal. I would say no, not all lessons are done in the terminal. Oh, I see Judy actually messaged me that as a direct message. They're not lessons are not all done in the range terminal, and I can see why that might be confusing. When it comes to Linux, most Linux commands are done through terminal, just because it's more direct, and so that's why it's typically done that way. But what you'll see in this particular course, we use Linux and we use Windows. So some things can be done in the graphical user interface through the actual, clicking and browsing through the start menu and things like that. But there are a lot of times that we do use command line. I think it's pretty heavy in command line. Joseph said, can we get the tar balls for the software using the lab? We do not. When you say your school blocks access, Joseph, what do you mean by that? Like they block access to the range, like our cyber range? I'd be shocked. Wow, interesting. And they won't allow list that at all? We don't typically do that. If you look on GitHub, we do have a lot of our files on GitHub still, but not everything. So I send me an email, and then we can maybe talk. But I don't know that we would, because we wouldn't be able to support you. So I don't think we can do that. But that'd be a question for maybe at the end. But definitely send me an email. And I'll have my email up again later. But Judy, I'll try and help you with your question about a terminal, because that's actually a good question, because that's what this is about. So there's two main interfaces in operating systems: a GUI, or graphical user interface, which is pictures and menus, and it's what you're used to when you think of Windows 10, 11, 7, XP, pretty much everything since 3.1. And there's command line interface, which is what you think about in DOS or Unix. It's the main way that we get around in Linux. And I've had students in my classes that when I taught them how to do file manipulation and moving their files around by command line, they realized that it really is faster to move files and manipulate files with command line once you get comfortable with it. So the goal is to help us understand how to navigate through files, how we can operate our PC, even if the graphical user interface is broken. So it doesn't really happen too much these days, but used to, we get a lot of errors that would say, Windows Explorer, it has stopped working. Like XP used to be really bad about that, or Windows ME. I don't really see that too often in like Windows 10 or 11, but I have seen it once or twice. And when that happens, like that's the main Explorer that makes the GUI function. And so if that goes down, then you have some issues. Open source software often expects you to know how CLI works. And so that is kind of the backbone for Linux. It's open source. To secure your computer against hackers who know CLI, so it's a good idea to also know how the terminal and CLI work. Oops, too far. So before you start, let's learn a few things. Terminal is a text-based command window. Some people call it the command prompt. Some people call it the shell. In Windows, it's called command prompt. You can find it in your start menu by typing CMD. It'll pull up command, and then you can enter it in your Windows computer. In Kali, it's called the terminal emulator or terminal. It's been a while since I've been on a Mac. I don't remember what they call it in Mac. Is it called command or terminal? I don't remember. Never thought about it. Maybe somebody can put it in there. A prompt is an indicator that the computer is ready to receive commands and uses a symbol like a money sign or a greater than sign. And then, so basically what I'm doing is I'm going to go through this kind of quickly, but this is what you would use to teach your students in class. So that my goal here was to show you what a lab looked like and now show you what a actual lesson looks like. And then we're going to apply some of this in our machine that we had open earlier. And then I'm going to show you a game that's associated with all this. So that's kind of what we're doing. And so what the breakdown here is that in your terminal, you see your current directory, which is Kali, and then your IP address. We have it set up so it always shows your IP address to make it easier to know where you are, because a lot of our labs work off of that. And then your directory is displayed there. So the little tilde means you're in your home directory. And then once you go somewhere like CD documents, you're in the documents directory. And it's displaying that here with the number 2. Before you start, once again, path is very important. Knowing how to get where you're going, the path is important. So if you're in, say, the home folder, you go to home, then you might want to go to Mary's portfolio, and this is where she would have like her pictures or her resume or something stored. So you go /home/Mary/portfolio, and that's the path to something. So on your computer, if you have, say, video games on a Windows machine, they would be stored in program files _x86 or something like that /games, maybe, just as an example. I don't know how exactly yours is set up, but that's usually a similar way to how it's stored. Can anybody here tell me why on a Windows machine, C is the directory where everything is stored? It's not having anything to do with this course, but I'm just wondering how old some of us are. I'm 40, but I grew up on a Commodore using Basic 64. Thank you, Chris. Chris said because A and B are dedicated to floppy drives. It's 100% right. Raymond's got it right. Okay. We're just kind of showing our age. Sorry, guys. So path navigation. So on a Windows machine, you're always going to have that C as your path to wherever you drive on your hard drive, unless you have multiple drives installed, or if you plug in a thumb drive, then you'll have D, E, F, G, wherever. But almost never A or B. So present PWD. These are some commands that are important to know. You'll get very comfortable with these teaching this course. And just as an aside, right? This course is meant to be a zero to hero course. It's meant to take a teacher who has no background knowledge in cybersecurity and probably not much background knowledge in computers and take them from that zero all the way to hero by the end of the year, so that you have enough knowledge at that point to be able to teach the cybersecurity course or the networking course or wherever you want to go from there. But you can start your cybersecurity curriculum at your school with this course. So that's why it helps you learn about the commands and the path navigation, and your students are learning. And then by the end of the year, you're comfortable, your students are comfortable, so you can take that next step to go to the cybersecurity course and learn about CompTIA Security Plus, or maybe you can go to the next, you can do the Linux Plus or wherever you want to go next. But that's kind of where we're building on the foundations here, and then working our way slowly into more and more complex cybersecurity topics. So PWD stands for Present Working Directory. And whenever you type that, it'll just show you where you're at. If any of you still have your machines open, you can do that now if you want. You can just clear your screen or type clear, in the, you can, if you press Control and C at the same time, it will close Social Engineering Toolkit, hopefully. Or you can close your terminal and open a new one. And then if in your terminal you type PWD, it will show you most likely home Kali. That's probably where you're going to be at. If you type LS, this stands for list. It lists your current directory. And we are going to practice some of these in a moment. LS-L lists the contents in what's called a long format. It gives you a bunch more information. And then LS-A will list all the stuff in your folder. Yes, absolutely. Sheena asked if she can get the PowerPoint, or they asked, sorry, if they can get the PowerPoint. I will be emailing everyone that's on the email list who signed up for this a copy of this PowerPoint. So if you got an email from me saying, hey, don't forget, we are having our meeting at 3 o'clock Central, and here's the Zoom link, then you're also going to get an email with a copy of this PowerPoint saying, hey, thank you for coming. And we were glad to see you, and here's a copy of the PowerPoint. If you did not get that first email, then you will need to email me and let me know you need a copy of the PowerPoint. LS is just a command that can take options. So this flag L and flag A, these are what are called options. So just two important tips. Commands need air. In Linux, two things are very important. Capitalization is very important, and space is very important. If you type ls-a with no space, it's not going to work. But if you type ls space -a, then it will work. Same thing for echo word or echo space word. It makes a big difference. So on number 2, it talks about being case sensitive here. So capital L, capital S does not do anything, and it's not the same as lowercase l, lowercase s. So if you have a file on your computer called danny.txt with a capital D, and you try to open lowercase danny.txt, it'll never open because it doesn't know what that file is. It knows that a file capital D Danny exists, but it doesn't know that a lowercase d exists, and it won't be able to find it. The thing that happens most to students whenever they're trying to work in Linux for the first time is they can't get those commands to work because they miss a space, or they put a capital when it's not supposed to be, or they put a lowercase when they need a capital. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to open up my machine. This is where I was earlier. I'm going to click Terminal to open a new terminal window. And there's a few things I want to do. I'm going to just, first off, I'm going to type PWD. I'm going to find out where I'm at. So if you haven't, open up a new terminal window. And it should look just like mine, where there's nothing going on. You should see a little asterisk, a little tilde here, because that means you're at home. And we're gonna verify that we're at home by typing PWD and press enter. Let me pull the chat back up so I can type that. PWD. And notice it displays home Kali. And just to show you exactly how this works, if I type CD and then, I don't know, I'm trying to think where I can go. Okay, yeah, so clear. CD course files. And then I type PWD. Notice my present working directory changed. Okay, so let me go back. Oops. Okay. So now, once again, that is not how you type that. I did it again. Okay, so this is what your screen should look like. So now if we type ls, now you can see all the different folders that are in the home directory. These are different places that you can go to, and you can see things like we have, especially course files is full of different stuff for our different courses. And this is the place you're going to go to most often to manipulate things in this course. But if we want to know more information about these particular folders, like when they were created, perhaps, now you can type ls-l. So here, I'm sorry, I didn't type those commands in. So ls and ls space -l. So now what you see here is when these folders were created. So course files was created on June 7th. That's interesting. Downloads was created on June 7th. Documents was created on August 16th, 2023. That's a long time ago. Jusha, I didn't realize that the date of course files change so often like that. Okay. So the reason it doesn't have a year because it was this year. No, okay, that makes sense. Sorry. We updated it recently. So you can see that we do keep these pretty up to date. So on June 7th, we recently updated and added new files to these. Okay. So let's do one more, ls-a. So you can see a lot more information here. And what you're seeing here is all the hidden files. So anything with a period in front of it is an easy way to hide something in Linux. And so now anything that had a period that was hidden is now not hidden anymore. So you can see it. And there's a lot of times there's no reason to see these files because you're not really going to need them. Like your bash files are in there. You don't really need people to see bash files, but the bash file is there. So anything with a dot is going to be hidden. And on our slide originally, there was a question that says, what do all hidden files have in common? And they all have that dot. That's what they have in common. So let's do something. Let's all move to the desktop. So how did we change directories? It was CD. Oh, good question. They said, what does the blue highlight around thin client mean? I've always kind of wondered that, and I've just never bothered to ask the question out loud. And I know. Now we use a different theme in ours. So the highlighted obviously is not green, ours is blue. Directory is writable by others apart from owning user group and has a sticky bit set. Okay, so it's just pointing out that that particular drive is our folder is writable by others. There you go. Excellent. I learned something new today. And if you're not learning something new every day, then what are you doing? You're dead, right? So good. Hey, like that's awesome. Now I can answer that question in the future. But I just, I've always looked at it and I've been like, oh no, I don't know what it does, so I'm not really gonna mess with it. Now I know. It means that other people can write to it. And I think part of it is because of this is based in AWS. And so there are drives that are talking back to AWS. So AWS can write to that. Because everything I've ever created on AWS has had that, a folder like that. And so I have a feeling that's exactly what that is. And so like the AWS backend can write to that. There we go. Interesting. So let's move to the document, or sorry, desktop folder. So how do we do that? How do we change directory? Does anybody remember? CD, thank you. So change directory to CD. So we're gonna type CD space, and we want to go to desktop. So I'm gonna type desktop. And I'm gonna hit enter. It says there's no such file or directory. Why is that? Can anybody answer that question? Case is very important, right? So there's no such thing as lowercase d desktop. It has to be capital D. So they give you an error. So bash is telling you that nothing exists. So CD, capital D, desktop, and then we're good. So notice now it says that we're in the desktop directory. So if I type pwd, this time it'll tell me home Kali desktop. If I want to go back, so you saw me do it earlier real fast. So I didn't mention anything about it. If I want to go back to where I just was, I can type cd space dot dot, and it'll take me backwards to wherever I was previously. So let me just type those two commands I typed in: cd space desktop and cd space dot dot. And it is possible to also go straight to your home directory by just typing in cd and with a tilde. If I go, so I'm going to show you how to use history. If you press up, it will allow you to use whatever you've recently typed in. So I'm going to press up until I see CD desktop, and I'm going to press enter. It's going to take me back to that. Now this time, instead of typing cd dot dot, I'm going to type cd space tilde, which is that little symbol above the tick mark. So cd space tilde, so right next to your 1. Press enter and it takes you back to your home directory. This will work even if you're deep in. So if you're deep in the system, so I'm like cd space course files / intro cyber security. Okay, so now I'm 2 folders deep, right? If I type cd tilde, I'll go all the way back home, even though I was 2 folders deep. So cd dot dot takes you back 1. cd tilde takes you all the way back to whatever your home directory is. Just as a interesting aside. So now let's try something a little bit different. Let's go to trying to think of where. Okay, let's do this. Let's go cd desktop, because this is actually in the lesson. Oh, let's see. You can use tab to autocomplete. Yes, you can. So Stacy's saying tab to autocomplete. It'll give you up to the point you have to give it a new character. Right. So I don't remember. It's been a while since I did it in this particular thing, but there's a couple of lessons where there's quite a long thing to type. And so if I mean, for instance, if I was in that course files, if I typed intro, INT, and press tab, it would complete intro to cybersecurity for me. But if there are multiple intro somethings like intro Linux, it would only complete intro and I'd have to finish typing it. Yes, right. And that's basically what Stacy was saying in the chat. I believe I've just restated what Stacy was saying. So here's what we want to do. We want to copy a file. So we want to now we're in the desktop. If you have also moved to the desktop, so I meant to add that, but then I was seeing what Stacy typed. So cd desktop one more time. So make sure in the desktop directory. If you type ls, you should, if you type ls, you should see that there are quite a few. There's only one thing here that you can actually manipulate, which is the readme. And this is a file. So one command you can use is called the copy command, which is cp. I'm going to copy. And then the way the copy command works is you copy file 1 to file 2. So I'm going to copy file 1 by saying readme, all capital letters, because that's how it's there. And I'm going to copy it to readme 2. And then when I hit enter, you should see another readme is appeared on your desktop. So cp readme 2. So what you've done is you've said copy, and then it's asking you, what are you copying? You've put that in there. It's saying, where are you copying it to? Now, you're not giving it any new destination for where you want to copy it to. You've just said here, but you're going to call it this. So you're going to call it readme number 2. Another thing you can do is move a file. So we can move the file, say, another option is moving file 1. So I say readme, you can move readme 2 into the course files directory. Or you can create a new file by using the command touch. So there's touch, like touch, and I want to touch a file named Adam. And it's gonna just magically make that file into existence. So I said touch Adam. That's a good question, Joseph. Joseph says there's a lesson on the VI editor. I would like one myself because I'm not good at VI. A lot of times what we use is Nano. But I believe in the Intro to Linux course, there might be a VI lesson because some of that requires a VI. And I'm not very good at it. But I can't guarantee you. We can go look though during the QA session. and see if there is one actually in there or not. I'm happy to go and look for that. But there is going to be a whole PD on the Intro to Linux course on Friday, where they really dig into the weeds on Linux. So notice Atom exists now, right? But say, oh well, actually we didn't really want that. We want to remove that. So remove is just RM, and then whatever the file name is. So remove stands for same thing as delete or destroyed, but we want to say remove. So I want to remove Atom. So I don't really, that was a mistake. I didn't really want to create that. I actually want to create Jeff. So I'm going to just touch one more time, Jeff. So what I typed there was touch, Atom. I typed RM for remove, Atom, and I just typed touch, Jeff. And you can use whatever name you want. You don't have to use those names. We're just practicing. But I want to practice moving this Jeff file. So here, while we're in the desktop, we want to use the command mkdir. This stands for make directory. So we want to make a directory called names. That's just something to put this into. And then notice I'm using a capital N here. If in any of your files you use the capital or didn't use a capital, you have to continue to do so. So when I type mkdir, names, mkdir is not capitalized. Names is on my screen anyway. And I press enter, you'll see a folder appear on our screen. Now, you can do the same. You can remove rmdir names, but I'm gonna save that for just a moment. So now I want Jeff to be inside of names. So I'm going to move, which stands for MV, Jeff. Jeff is the name of the file that's in our directory. And I need to tell it where to move Jeff to. So I'm going to use /names. Oh, permissions denied. I probably need sudo rights for that. Move Jeff names. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Okay, so it worked. Because I'm in the desktop and because I'm creating things on here as an administrator, it wants super user rights to be able to move that file. I wasn't expecting it to say that, but I've never really created and moved files on the desktop before. Normally I do it in a different directory. Did I? I sure did. That's why. That's exactly why I needed a sudo, because I didn't move it to desktop / oh man. Poor Jeff, he's gone now. I should have realized that when it asked me for super user rights. Okay, so let me show you what I did wrong. I'm going to touch Jeff again. Sorry, Jeff, I'm touching you a lot today. And I'm going to move Jeff to /desktop, or probably home desktop. Yeah, okay, so I guess I don't need this. No, what am I doing wrong here? I'm looking like a crazy person. Oh, yeah, nope. Actually, I see why. No, you're right, because I'm already in this directory. That's why I was confused earlier, because I'm already here, so I don't need to have a slash. Okay, so used to a long time ago, someone told me that if you ever put a slash in front of something, you should always say root whenever you're writing the directory. So the first slash stands for root whenever you're in Linux. And I always thought that was silly to say root, home, blah, blah, blah. And today it has proved why they were right and I was wrong for saying they were silly. Because whenever I wrote /names, I wrote room and created a directory called names. So we can actually prove that in a moment when we go look to see if that names directory exists. So just to prove that I did move it to names just now by just writing names as a folder, you can see Jeff is now inside this. a folder called names. So all you had to do is write MV, Jeff, and names as the folder where we're moving it to. MV, Jeff, names. Yes, sorry. Yeah, and so yes, you're right. The tilde would have fixed all that because it was relative to the desktop and names. Sorry. I need to work in Linux a little more often. What I would like to do is go, so now the last thing I wanted to do was remove names. So I would like to rm dir, which stands for remove directory, and then names. Then you should see names and Jeff disappear. Oh, no, you can't because it's not empty. So if I click in here and I right click Jeff and I move to trash, then I can press up and remove directory names. Now what I'd like to do is cd dot dot dot, oh no, cd dot dot, and I'm in the home. So I can ls cd dot dot ls cd dot dot. So I'm in the root directory now. So previously I was in our relative home directory. I went back and now I'm in root. So this is a slash here. So if I type ls, we should notice that there is a name directory. Our names actually is a file. It didn't create a directory. It created a file. So we did add names there. So yeah, there it is in the root directory. Y'all are right. Okay. So there's more to this particular lab, but what I want to do is I want to show you something else first before we run out of time. I want to skip to the end because I kind of wanted to get into sudo and things like that, but I wanted to skip to the end first. There's something in here where students can practice with, oops, that is not what I wanted. Students can practice a lot of the skills that they've learned in something called Terminus. What Terminus is a game that was created by a student at MIT as a graduate project. You can go in your personal computer. You can do it in the range, but you can do it on your personal computer or your school computer. It's faster that way. You can go to this website, https www.mprat.org/terminus, www.mprat.org/terminus. And like I said, this was an MIT project. However, what the lady is giving us permission to use this with our curriculum, and she's created a version for us specifically on her website, and that's slightly different than the one she hosted, that is hosted on the MIT website. So typically when you go in, our lab doesn't direct you to go to MIT because there's no reason to go there. We're not doing anything there. But if you do pull this up, you'll see that I'm just going to go through it a little bit because we won't have time for it today, because I'd like to get into the Q&A session and some of the other stuff we have to do too. And then maybe we can come back to it. But you're more than welcome to do this from home tonight, because what I have for you is a cheat sheet. I'm back out of this right quick. I have a cheat sheet that I can share with you. Let me find it. I don't know how to cheat sheet. Maybe I don't. There's a cheat sheet on the website. If you look on our website, there's a reference sheet that you can use here. I could have swore I had. Oh, I do have it. Okay, good. Here we go. Let me share a folder with you. It won't be up forever, but it is up for now. I'm gonna put a link in the chat. Everyone should have access to this. You can view it. I don't know if you can edit it, but you can view the documents in there. If I click the link, it'll take you to my Google Drive. I am going to close this eventually, but you can access it for now. What is in here is a few things from our course if you don't have access to our course yet. Because right now it's taking a little while to get into the course. This link is what I can do is I can also add this to the presentation well, I don't know if I add to the presentation, sorry. For anyone who's watching the recording, I apologize. I hope you have access to the curriculum because all this is in the curriculum. What you have here is the Terminus questionnaire. So I'm just going to open this right quick. This is what a student will see. This is the activity for the student. It tells you where to go. There's a questionnaire. It says what happens if you do this, and the students will fill this out. So as an activity, the students are working through this. This is just an example of one of the handouts that the students would get when they go through. There's a map that the students get. Kind of sideways, you look at it, but it gives you a breakdown of everything inside of Terminus. So as a teacher, you can help someone quickly get through it. I've given you the actual PowerPoint for the Terminus, not only the one that's included in my presentation. I've also included the lab breakdown for the social engineering toolkit that we did earlier, the lesson for the command line interface, and a command line reference sheet. So this is an excellent printable that you can keep next to your desk for command line. If you guys wanted to use that, you're welcome to print that out. And that's in our course. You can find that on that same section. All these are in there if you don't have course access. Yeah. Anyway, so back to that PowerPoint. But we do mention that if teachers are unable to access this because of restrictions in their IT department or whatever, this can be accessed through the range. So you can pull it up in the range and you can access it. But I just recently redid this PowerPoint, and I tried my best to break down the PowerPoint slide for slide. Every time you type in a command, you're going to see a screenshot of what happens. So it should be pretty easy to go through for students to see what happens and then what they should see when they type in those commands. So hopefully, if you decide to go through this later today or tonight, you should be able to go through it. But by all means, if you run into an issue, shoot me an email and I'll help you as best I can. But I didn't create this. Someone else created it. So if it's like an actual issue with the program, I can't really help you with that. But it does teach you about what's called the less command, which just displays text. We often use the cat command in our programs, but less displays text. But there are quite a few slides here. It does stop at a certain point though, because there's an advanced section, which we call Terminus Part 2, and we don't get to those until we really get into our nitty gritty, our deeper stuff.